what's so fascinating to me is that in your project, you want to improve and strengthen this security and this sense of community, but you want to do it through the arts and through your vocal ensemble. And I was just rereading this morning about all the processes that you're going through in order to do that. Um, what gave you the idea that uh, a vocal ensemble, so your vocal ensemble of 12 people, could be integral, could be an important part as agents of change and creating a better environment in this community?
Well, that's something I believed in, and it's something that I wanted to prove. That's one thing that I think like arts and art making and creativity has to be very close to their community. Sometimes art works very in a very introspective way with the artist, and I believe that this ensemble with these fantastic people that have like many different backgrounds and interests in research and music and art in general, I believe that we as not just as vocalists, but as vocalists and human beings and with a lot of different resources, we could find ways in which art could improve this, because I believe that uh, as I just said, I believe art should be an important process in a community. Like I believe that a community that doesn't create their own cultural products, it's a community that's not expressing themselves, and it's not that everyone has to express artistically or culturally, but the people inside the community should know the needs and the ways in which this community wishes to communicate in order to develop. And I think that this was a very interesting opportunity in which art could relate to this specific need, to this specific committee, uh, find their needs and try to know them, to try to know each person or the most people in the community, and try to communicate what they wanted to communicate in the best way that we could. And I think that the process has been great. We have found a lot of very interesting things, and I believe that we got even more than we expected. I hope that the product will be more than
Yeah.
what we expected at the beginning.
It's this is something that is so unusual and so the amount of effort and care and interaction and discourse that had to go on. I want to make sure that people understand the lengths to which you and your group went in order to make this connection. Can you describe it for us?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there was a like a four-part process of this. So the first process were surveys. So online surveys, which we uh, which we got around 170, I think, of surveys, because and it was the goal. It was around those numbers the goal, because the total amount of people that is in the community, the committee, they are like around 1,600 people.
Wow. Uh-huh.
So we
Yes.
got like a little more than the 10%. So that
Right.
was good. And so we asked a lot of things about like how many years they were living in Tijuana, what were their what did they felt when they heard uh, when they thought about security and unsecurity, the images, if they had some artistic things that reminded them to either one of those. So a lot of different questions, and we got a lot of great answers. At the end of that, we asked people if they wanted to make some virtual interviews, and we made around 20 virtual interviews. We managed to do. There were like between 20 and 40 minutes. It depended on each person. And in there, we could talk a little more and to know them a little more, and to let them express a little more. And it was great. In this process, what it was very impacting for me, uh, like mostly were two things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
one is that we are, as artists, we normally think that we are the crazy ones and the ones that think like this, and everyone else just normal people like doing the normal stuff. And what we found, it was a community full of imaginative and creative minds, and with a very unusual backgrounds, and very diverse interests. So that was one of the things that was very astonishing. And the other one was the love that they have for playas, for the
Oh,
they really love and want to make change and want this to be a better place.
yeah.
They have a attachment to the place, so it was a very beautiful thing. And then also the third part of this, we made some virtual workshops in which we observed their gestures. We tried to facilitate some vocal expression from them, from gesture expression, and there were mostly activities about music and gesture, and around the security topics. And it was very interesting to see their gestures and observe. And we were getting all that material for the trying to get these three parts. Were trying to construct how we were going to make the last interviews. And at the end, the fourth process of this was the live interviews with these persons, that we took care of all the protocols because of the
Yes. Yes.
pandemic.
Hmm.
uh, so like in at the beginning, we that because when we started this process, we hoped that by November this would be over, but well, it
Yes.
even yeah,
Hopefully.
it,
Forget it,
it
right?
is not over, and it won't be for long. But then, so we thought about working with them together and making music together, but it wasn't possible. So we did it individually, and we had some members of the community that composed songs to Tijuana. Some members of the community that one of them that has been my teacher, that he was a member of the uh, soloist ensemble of Bellas Artes in Mexico City. So he's a great tenor. So he sang for us some pieces. And we interviewed one of the auxiliary police officers. Also, he was in there.
How will it live, do you think? How will it take root once it's created
Yeah.
in the community?
So the main idea of this three like products, they're meant to be multimedia products. So they should be able, we should be able to share them in social media. Mostly that's how they normally communicate in these groups. So the main idea is to share them, to be like these short videos. I thought that they were gonna be shorter, but I think they're gonna be a little longer. And so we're gonna share them with the community, and the idea of these videos is to share the values of the people of the community, to try to get more people into the community, to get to the other people from Playas, to get to know the community, and to and like a way in which they could see themselves and reflect on themselves, and observe, and get to know each other more. Because even though there are a lot and they're working together, they work with WhatsApp, so they don't know each other that much. They work with each other, they had rules, but I think it's gonna be an interesting way for them to know each other a little better.
What do you think you can take away from this that might be something that can be transferred to other communities? I mean, even say our campus community or other small communities in that are looking for ways to connect. I mean, what is there anything that you've learned from this that you think is actually universal and transferable in terms of process or in terms of the questions and the the kinds of connections that need to be built or and that can be built.
I believe, like, for one thing, that we have to be very specific. We have to be specific in the persons we reach, and we don't have to take things for granted. I think that, like, the artistic process, if we wish to make important artistic processes, we have to make the community a big part of it, and a very important and for them to have words in it. It could be in many different ways. It's not like I found like this should be the way, but one thing is to listen to them and to be specific. To I believe that it's better to have even a few people uh, from a certain place that are that want to speak, that want to share, and to get to know them very well in a way to construct things that just like having a wide sensation of what they could want to say and just say it your way. I think like for once you have to know what they how they communicate, how you can communicate with them because it's for them. It's not for you. Uh, uh, to know them and to make them part of the process as much as we can.
What about taking it farther? What do you imagine that the possibilities are, and how arts and community engagement might be able to support those goals?
Well, I think that these kind of fellowships are important. It's important to have time, not just to have a yes, the time it's important. Is this if this kind of fellowships continue, it would be great. If we had some other kind of support in which we could develop this work and try to go deeper into the community of playas, try to uh, I believe like now it's with the pandemic, it's important to connect. It's important to be with each other. It's important to make dialogue. And for me, it would be great to continue in working with the with community and to find other community organization in playas, which we can connect with them and create bigger projects and develop this kind of products.
It's amazing to me that people were willing to give their time, and that they were willing to do it during the pandemic, because one of the things that we were really um, afraid would happen is when the projects had to go into the virtual sphere, that they would be challenged in a way that made them impossible. But you seem to have persevered, but also the community seems to really want this connection.
I feel the community has a lot of a big need of expressing themselves. I think it's a very important need that it's not met usually. There are not places or projects like this in which they have a voice, in which they could also people who can facilitate that. I think that's the most important thing I can do other than making some individual product with them, like facilitating a way of expressing themselves. I think it's very important. Mostly now in the pandemic, um, people need to have places in which to express, to know each other, to connect. The people here in Playas have a big need to change things, to make things better. Organizing people, it's very difficult, and even when they want to, and and these other ways in which to express themselves, I think it would be like to have these options available all the time. It will be like the most important thing
Wow.
for our community.
That's great. And we're really thrilled that you were chosen to be one of the fellows for the Arts and Community Engagement Community Connections Fellows. It's been just such a pleasure to talk with you about the project, and I can't wait to see the results. So
Thank you.
thank you very much, Miguel.
No, thank you for the opportunity.